Hello, I am Chris. Welcome to my basement gym for yoga this morning. Feel free to have soft music in your background playing. I have some soft music as well, but if it works better for you to have something there, feel free to fire up some videos on YouTube. That's what I like to do. Put in a CD or stream, whatever you like. But let's go ahead and start our practice today. I've got my mat. I use two mats because I am on my basement floor. It's kind of hard, and so it makes it a little nicer to my wrists and my knees. We will use a block and a strap today. So why don't we go ahead and get started? And we're going to actually start lying down today. We do that every now and then. And this is just one of those times. So find yourself a nice comfy spot. I'm going to move my coffee out of the way. I don't want my arms swinging around and knocking it over. Well, let's just find ourselves a nice comfy spot on our mats. Feel free to lift the hips, wiggle out the shoulders, finding ourselves in a nice, comfortable, relaxed position. We'll start here today, and we'll eventually get to standing. But I would like for us to focus on our breathing. We can really focus on it if we're lying down, passively just allowing ourselves to just relax into the floor, not worrying about posture, not worrying about anything else. But let's focus on our breathing. Try to take the breathing from up here to down here. So inhale fully, feel the belly raise, and as we exhale, the belly falls. So inhale fully, and exhale. Let's see if we can drag out that inhalation as we breathe in and exhale. Maybe try counting to 4 as we inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pausing. And exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Practicing box breathing could really help with stress reduction, helping to control situations that are stressful, unnerving. Excuse me. It's allergy season for me. But when we can't control what's going on around us, we can control our reaction. And practicing box breathing could really help. Just timing that breath, inhaling, and just count. Pausing, then exhaling, and just counting. 4 is a nice, easy number to reach. It stretches out your breath a little bit, but not too much. You can always go farther. If you need to make it shorter and build up to bigger numbers, that's fine too. Just let your focus be your breathing, pushing out all of those external thoughts. Those stressors, those to-do lists, work, home, whatever. They'll be there later. Right now, we need to take care of ourselves. Let's start with a little warm-up of just bringing our knees in, our feet in, bending our knees, letting our feet be comfortably wide on the mat. I have my feet on the outside edges, and just windshield wiper the knees side to side. Not too big that we're popping the hips totally up off of the ground. Just a little bitty rotation. We can progressively make that a little bit bigger. Not doing too big of rotations right off the bat. Just kind of waking up our low back. bringing the knees to center as we just do a little bit of a bridge. So inhale, increasing that neutral curve, kind of like we're doing a cow. And then exhale, pressing the feet through the floor, and just a little bit of a bridge as we just put tension in our feet and lift our glutes, just so we could slip a hand. And then neutral. And then increase that neutral curve, hollowing out through the belly as we press our feet through the floor and turn our tailbone to our nose. And just lift the glutes so the hands could slide underneath. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, just a little baby bridge. And exhale. 1 more time. Inhale. And exhale. Coming back to neutral as we extend one leg. It doesn't matter which one you do. We're going to point our toes and raise our leg, flex our foot, and lower the heel. Inhaling as we lift, and exhale, lower. 3 more times. Inhale, lift, and exhale. 2 more. 1 more time. Good. This time let's point, pull the knee in with a flex and push out. Point, pull in and push. Point, pull in and push. 1 last time. Let's reverse that. Pull, push, point, pull, push. Last one. Pull and float down. Let's change legs. Let's do the same thing. Let's point those toes and raise the leg. Flex the foot and lower. Letting our breath go with the movement. Inhale and exhaling. Two more times. Good. Last one as we add in a new movement for our leg fire sequence. Flex the foot, pull in and press out. Point to lift, pull in and press. One more time. And let's reverse. One last time. And let's float the leg down. Good. Let's put both legs out. Just roll the heels side to side. Good. Drawing one knee into the chest. Remember, you can hug on top of your knee, or if it feels better for your knee, go behind. Let's draw the forehead towards that knee. Pushing through the extended legs, heel and calf in contact with the floor, and changing sides. Let's point the toes for now. Ooh, toe cramp. Hobbling out through the belly. One last time each side. Use those belly muscles, pulling ourselves up. Last one. And stretching overhead. My arms may be getting out of the frame, but it's thumbs towards the floor. Point those toes, stretch really long, taking up a lot of space. And drawing the knees into the chest, cradle rocking side to side, starting with the knees high on the chest, and then allowing the knees to fall away. Feeling that rock change, going into our lower backs, and let's drop back up again. Coming back up the spine, bringing the knees higher up on our chest. And one more time, allowing the knees to fall away. Good. Draw the knees in and release. And then if you like, taking that moment to rock and roll to seated. Let's have a seat in seated staff. Sitting nice and tall. The backs of our legs are active into the floor. If you're a little tight in your hamstrings or your low back and if this makes you want to slump, what you can do is roll up a towel or maybe make a wrinkle in the mat to help elevate your hips just a little bit to take out that tension. You can always sit on your block. If you are elevating your hips, be conscious of not locking out your knees, okay? We don't want you to hyperextend them. Otherwise, if we're sitting on the floor, sitting up nice and tall, go ahead and allow the back of the legs to be active into the floor, okay? Nice and tall, hinging at our hip joint, not rounding in our spine. Let's take a big inhale, and then hinging, leading with our sternum. Hip hinge forward till we feel that resistance. For me, this is it. And then allowing ourselves to fold over and rounding over our thighs. Allowing our hands to be on the floor or on our shins just for gentle support. Pressing the backs of our legs into the floor. Taking a big breath, inhale and exhale as we lift ourselves out and taking our hands behind us, fingertips either pointing forward or feel free to reach on your fists, pointing the toes, and then pressing the chest open to the ceiling. Try not to make this about the low back. See, my low back's really rounding. Pull the belly in. Make it from the rib cage up. We want to expand the upper chest towards the ceiling, allowing our head to rest back. Good. Inhale and exhale, bringing ourselves back up to seated staff. Inhale, hinging from our hips till we find that spot where we can't hinge anymore, and then allowing ourselves to drape over our thighs. Feet are flexed, legs are active into the floor. Inhale, seated staff. And exhale, lifting. Inhale. This is just like a partial reversal of a plank pose. Not really lifting our hips, but we're opening, expanding our chest. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Broaden the collarbones. Pull the belly muscles inward. Good. Inhale and exhale. One more seated staff. Hinging at our hips. Then letting ourselves drape over our thighs. And lifting out. And coming into that partial reverse plank. Pressing through the floor. Squeeze the elbows together. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, broadening our collarbones. But don't lift the belly. Pull the belly in. Good. Shoulders relaxed out of our ears. Good. Coming up, seated staff. Good. This time, let's just hinge forward, not rounding, and just pausing within the hinge. We're changing the tension of our stretch by taking the roundness out of our spine. Bringing a little bit more in the back of our legs, then feeling in our back. As soon as we round over, the stretch goes to our back. I would love for us to stretch the back of our legs right now. Good. Breathing into the tension. sitting up nice and tall. Let's take the leg closest to each other. Bringing that foot to the inside of our thigh. And then hinging forward one more time. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, hinge. Remember, the hinge doesn't round. The hinge is down low. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, hinge. Inhale, lift. And exhaling as we hinge. Let's hold that hinge here. Gently allow the knee to drift closer to the ground. If you'd like, you can allow your arm, your elbow, your hand to rest on that knee. Try not to push it, but just allow the weight of that body part to aid in opening up the hips, bringing the knee closer to the ground. Breathe. Inhale. And exhale as we lift out and changing sides. We'll do the same thing. We'll just do a dynamic hip hinge. Foot inside of the knee. Inhale. And exhale, hinging forward. Inhale as we lift. And everyone's forward fold will be different. I don't have a super deep forward fold. I'm a little tight. Maybe your hinge is a little bit deeper, and that's wonderful. Maybe you're like me and it's not very deep. That's fine too. Good. Exhaling as we fold. And inhale as we lift. Last time. Let's stay in our forward fold. Remember, the back of our legs is active into the ground. Allow your hand or your forearm to rest on the knee, allowing the body weight to help bring the knee closer to the ground. Remember, we're not slouching forward. That takes the stretch from back here to up here. And we want to keep it within the back of our legs. Breathing into the tension in the hips. Foot is flexed. Hinge. Breathe. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling as we lift. And let's tuck our knees underneath us. As we come into a low Hindu squat, feel free to stagger your feet if you'd like. Maybe your balance is a little off today, but shoulder over hips, over heels as we slowly raise out and lowering down. Let's come to the center of our mats. Inhale. As we exhale, let's drop our right arm, reaching in opposite directions. Inhale, lifting, and exhale. Half moon. Inhale, and exhale, half moon. Again, inhale, and exhale, half moon. Inhale, and both arms floating down. Good. Let's look over the right shoulder and center. Left shoulder. One more time, right and left. Now coming center, and let's pour water out of our ear. Reaching the opposite hand to the floor, feeling that delicious stretch down the side of our neck. And raising the center as we pour water out of the other ear. Opposite hand reaches for the floor. And one more time, back to our right. And center, and pouring water out of our left ear. And back to center. Excuse me. I'm going to grab a quick sip. I apologize. Let's grab our blocks. Grabbing our blocks for forward fold. Let's go ahead and face the center, having our blocks right here. Forward fold, we will add a twist into it. Inhale and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, using the backs of our legs, lift up to airplane and forward fold. Now let's keep our front hand on the block. Front knee bends generously. As we inhale, let's point to the back of our room and then pressing through the block to open. Good. Exhale, fold with a twist. Let's inhale, return to our blocks. And exhale as we return out of our forward fold. And hands to heart center. Let's do the same thing facing each other. Inhale, lift. Exhaling into our forward fold. Exhale, airplane. And fold. The back hand stays on the block. Our back knee bends generously. Let's point towards each other and then pressing through the block, rotate and open up the hips and the shoulders to the side. Returning to our blocks as we exhale. Inhale, reversing that fold, and exhale, heart center. Let's do that again, each side. Inhale, and exhale, fold. Inhale to airplane, and exhale, fold. Pointing to the back of the room and rotate to open, and returning to our blocks. Reversing our fold, and hands to heart center. Towards the front. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, forward fold. Lifting to airplane, squeeze the shoulder blades together and folding. Coming into our twist and returning to our block. Coming out of our forward fold and hands to heart center. Adding into this, let's go into our forward fold. And then walking the knee out and lowering down, coming to hands and knees. Removing the block if needed. And then again, if you'd like, feel free to make a wrinkle in your mat to give your wrists a little bit of a lift. So if you have any wrist pain, any carpal tunnel issues, it could be a very good beneficial thing for you. So in quadruped, let's tuck the tailbone under for a little cat. And scoop through for cow. Let's do 3 more. Right now we're just flowing through. Feel free to slow down and articulate the movement. Or just move. No right or wrong on this one today. Good. Let's walk our hands out or walk the knees out a little bit as we bring ourselves to a kneeling plank. Our tailbone is tucked under, so we lower down and then pressing back, pulling with our hips to extended child pose. Cat curl back to plank and lowering down. Pulling ourselves back into extended child pose and cat curl forward to low plank. Let's go through this cycle 2 more times before we add in. Just warming up the body, getting the shoulders ready for a little downward facing dog. Extended child pose. Cat curl forward to a kneeling plank. Digging our toes in for downward facing dog. As we press up, sink the hips back. Our weight should not be loaded within our shoulders. If we feel loaded in our shoulders, bend the knees generously to allow yourself to get that range of motion. You can even bring the knees down and just call it a puppy and sink the hips back. Allow the chest to sink through. So what feels good for you? Give it a try. Play around. Find what works. Let's draw our chest forward into plank. Feel free to be on the knees or the toes. So we lower down and press back into extended child pose. Cat curl forward into low plank. Toes dig in. Downward facing dog. Drawing forward into plank, toes or knees, and lowering down. Extended child pose. Cat curl forward. Downward facing dog. To plank. Extended child pose, one last cycle. Cat curl. Coming into downward facing dog. And breathe. Let's hold here and walk in place, bending one knee for one breath and the other for the next. Let the weight be in our heels. Try not to be loaded in the shoulders. Pushing that mat away. Good job. Drawing forward into our plank, toes or knees. Lowering down. And pressing into extended child pose. Allow the thumbs to be up. Sitting the hips back. Try not to let a bend come into the elbows. Let's keep the elbows straight. And now drawing the hands back, child pose. Let the breath help expand into your low back. Feel the breath expand the low back. Try and guide your breath into there, allowing our low backs to stretch and open up. If this is a little bit of a challenge for you, feel free to separate your knees, allowing your belly or your chest to sink through. Coming back into extended child pose, arms nice and long, cat curled up. Let's walk our hands back a little bit as we come to kneeling. And let's take the leg furthest from each other, stepping forward into a deep lunge. Tailbone tucks under. Arms sweep up for crescent pose. And now drawing the arms down into goalpost. Let's bring our hands behind. If we can lace our fingertips together, wonderful. If we cannot, feel free just to have the palms facing each other and squeeze an imaginary ball between them. Opening up through the chest. Again, tailbone is still tucked under, and that wonderful stretch within our hips and our heels. Good. Let's bring the arms back to goalpost. And extend up, opening up the chest. And now bringing our hands inside our big toes. Let's allow our knee to fall away from our shoulder and sinking the chest down. Go ahead and just wiggle out the hips. A little rock side to side, a little forward and back. Just giving the hips a little bit of movement. Breathe. Pausing here for a moment, and let's think about pushing the top of our foot into the mat just a little bit of activation, feeling a deeper stretch within our hips. Good, relaxing those hips, and let's walk our fingertips back. One more time for crescent pose, opening up the chest. And letting our arms float down. Let's switch legs. Coming into that lunge again. Tailbone tucks under. Feeling that delicious stretch within the front of our thighs as we scoop and sweeping our arms up into crescent pose. And drawing the arms down to goal pose. Squeezing our shoulder blades together. Shoulders out of our ears. And then if we can lace our fingertips behind our back, wonderful. If we cannot, feel free to bring the hands back and pretend like we're squeezing a ball between our hands. Breathe. Think of opening up within the chest. Still tucking our tailbones under. We don't feel compression in our low back. We feel a wonderful stretch in that one front hip. Let's release the hands, coming back to goal post. And extending overhead for our crescent pose. And then bringing our hands on the floor inside of our big toe. Allow this knee to fall away from the shoulder. And if you'd like, just kind of move around a little bit. Give the hips a little bit of love. If this is a troublesome pose, you feel like you're turtling up your shell there, feel free to use the block. Bring it in to elevate your chest so you don't feel like you're hunching over. We want to allow the hips to sink downward. Good. Let's quiet our movement here for just a moment as we gently press the top of our foot into the mat, deepening the stretch within our hip. Breathe. Good. Let's walk our hands back a little bit, and we're just going to step this leg back, coming back to a quadruped as we walk our hands out and come into a low plank. Tailbone is tucked under. Let's allow ourselves to uncurl all the way down. And feel free to rest the forehead on the mat, hands right here. As we prepare for a little bit of locust. Let's start with our lower body. I don't want us to lift and compress our low back. So think about pulling the belly button away from the floor, not pushing the belly into the floor. Let's first pull the belly button away, tugging our tailbones forward, pushing the tops of our thighs and hips into the ground. And then as we exhale, reach the toes outward, using the gluteals and the backs of our legs, our hamstrings, to do the lifting and not our low backs. So let the breath help you. Belly button lifts away from the floor. Now just one arm at a time, we're going to extend and return with each breath. So exhale, extend, inhale, return. Exhale, extend, inhale, return. 2 more times. One more time. Exhale. And return. Allowing our feet to come down and pressing back into extended child pose. Giving our low back a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a love. Knees may be separated. Though I know we try to, sometimes we do get into that low back. So countering locust with a little bit of extended child pose can help release some of that tension. So breathe into the low back. Give it some love. Exhale, extended child pose. Inhale, let's cat curl back up to a low plank. As we return back to locust, this time let's add upper body and keep the legs grounded. Hopefully within my frame here you might see my arms, but I think they do creep out. So coming down to the floor. Let's think about upper body and start at goal pose. So bringing the arms out to goal post. Pull the belly button away from the floor, pushing the tops of our thighs into the floor. So belly button lifts away from the floor. And as we exhale, use that mid and upper back to lift our sternum away from the floor. Good. As we breathe, we'll raise a little higher, and exhale, our chest will fall. Good. Let's bring the hands down. And one more time. Extended child pose. Hips on the heels. Arms extended, thumbs up. Let's bring the hands down as we pull ourselves forward to plank again. As we lower ourselves down. And this time, let's do opposite arm to leg. Breathing as we lift, exhaling as we lower, okay? So arms long, legs long, thumbs up to the ceiling. Good. Inhale. And raise opposite arm to leg. And lower. And opposite arm to leg. And lower. Exhale. Inhale. Let the muscles work diagonally. We're not compressing our low back. Again, it's the gluteals, our hamstrings, and the muscles all around our shoulder blades. One more time each side. An extended child pose. Press up, sit back. Let the hands push us back into our hips and our heels. And again, if you have trouble getting your hips to rest on your heel, feel free to take that block, use it as a pillow for your forehead, or take it right on your heels. Good. Exhale, prepare to cat curl to hands and knees. Inhale. Exhale, cat curl up. Hands and knees. And let's take the leg furthest from each other. Step it through into a low lunge. Let's curl under the toes and lifting our knee. Breathe. Keeping the hand next to the big toe on the floor. Point towards me and push to open. If this is not comfortable, you feel rounded, feel free to slip that block in to elevate yourself to open. What works for you? Good. Scoop through under the leg, reach, and open. One more time. Scoop through, working on balance. Good. Coming back down to our low lunge. Hands frame our foot as we come into single leg downward facing dog. So scoop through, press, lift up, and open the hip. Unopen, bring the leg through. Into our lunge. Let's challenge ourselves one more time. Lift, scoop through, and open. Straighten the leg. Hollow out the belly and the chest, and draw the leg through. Good. We're going to switch. So step back to a lunge and draw forward. Don't worry if it doesn't quite get there. Feel free to wiggle it up there. And then if you need your block, grab your block as we curl under the toes and lift our knee for rotation. Pointing to the wall behind us. Let's open up the chest. Breathe. And scoop through. And open. One more. Scoop through. And open. Woo-hoo. So we come down. Preparing for single leg downward facing dog. So we hollow out. Press up. And open. Extending the straight. Hollow out. Bring the leg through. One more time. Lift. Press. And open. Woohoo. Try not to fall backwards. Hollow out. And lift through. Let's drop our knees down. Walking ourselves back. And lifting up. As we come to standing. Let's face each other. Whew, as we grab our breath. Finding ourselves in mountain pose. Gonna grab a quick sip. Let's find our version of mountain. Do you like your big toes touching? Do you like your feet separated? Let the breath calm down. We bring our hands to heart center. So we hop or step our feet out generously for warrior two. Pretend like we're walking on a tightrope for this one as we turn our right toes out fully and left toes turn in slightly. Our right heel is lined up with the instep of our left foot. So we bring our arms up to a T. Bring a bend into our right knee without letting our right knee cave in. We need to pull that knee back. We need to be able to see our big toe inside of our knee. Good. Allow the gaze to go over the top of our right hand. Good. Warrior two. Coming into reverse warrior, let's turn the palm over. Lift. And open up the ribs. Extending our right leg and extending our reverse warrior. Let's bring a bend back to our leg and come back into warrior two. As we come into side angle, giving ourselves a hug, bringing the elbow by the ear and making a straight line from our thigh bone through our torso and out through our fingertips. Coming back to warrior two. And reverse warrior one more time. Turn the palm up, scoop, lift up. Hips stay level. And now extend that reverse warrior. Coming out of our reverse warrior. One more time to warrior two. And into side angle, giving ourselves a hug and reach. Dropping our hips down. Try not to make it round. We are a straight line. Thigh bone, torso, through the arm. So that means you could be here, that's okay. Or lower. Opening up our chest to one another. Breathe. Coming out of our side angle, lifting out of warrior two as we change sides. Rotating the toes, coming to a letter T. Bringing a bend into our left knee for warrior two, making sure we can see our big toe inside of our knee. Using our gluteals to pull that knee back. Good. Allowing our gaze to be over the top of our left hand as we complete our warrior two. Let's turn our palm up, reach out, scoop and lift up for reverse warrior. Hips stay level. Now extending that reverse warrior. Let's bring a bend back to our knee, giving ourselves a little hug as we come into side angle, sinking the hips. Breathe. And we're coming out of side angle, back to warrior two. Notice shoulders are over the hips. We're not fencing. Reverse warrior one more time. The right hand just rests gently on the thigh. We're not pressing into it. Hips are level. And now extending our left leg straight, deepening the stretch within our reverse warrior through the hip and the rib cage. As we come out and prepare for side angle. Sinking our hips. Breathe. Reversing or returning to warrior two and lifting out. Let's turn our toes front, toe heel in till we feel good and comfortable as we step our feet in. Good. Coming back to mountain pose. Let's work on a little bit of balance with tree pose today. If standing on cushy mats makes your balance a little off, feel free. Step forward onto a firm floor. Sometimes having extra padding for hard floors can make your balance a little bit more of a challenge, okay? Let's find that plumb line. Remember, we would love to be a little heavier in our heels than we do in the toes. Heavy right through the middle, not in the right or left leg just yet. Tailbones tucked under. Sternum is lifted. Setting up mountain pose so our weight is balanced front to back as well as side to side. Otherwise, as soon as we go to tree pose, we're going to want to fall forward into it. Let's shift our weight heavier into our right leg. And just let the right knee lift, coming onto the balls or the ball of the foot. Good. Hugging our thigh muscles to the bone. Let's rotate the knee open, coming to kickstand. Hands may be resting at heart center. Really squeezing our gluteals, keeping our hips level and our tailbone under. You may feel free to stay here, or we can bring the foot below the knee. Progressing slowly into our tree, I want us to push the foot into the side of our calf. As well as the side of the calf, let's push it into our foot. Feel how that is on the hips, on your gluteals, on your balance. Then, feel free to try that progression of bringing the foot above the knee. Pinky swear and promise you will not put your foot on the side of your knee. And now push that thigh muscle into your foot, as well as pushing your foot into the thigh muscle. Now challenge your tree pose. Extending the right arm up and the left arm out. Good. Bringing them both down to T. And both to heart center. And lowering the hands. And lowering the leg. Let's shake it out as we do the same thing on the other side. Starting hands at heart center. Finding that balance again a little bit more in the heels. Sternum's lifted, tailbone tucked under, belly muscles are hugging the spine. As we shift our weight heavier into our left foot, we come up onto the toes on our right leg. And rotating the knee open and bringing the heel into the side of our leg in kickstand. The toes are down. Finding that balance where we can be heavier in our in our left leg, and we can allow the right foot to slide up onto the calf, pushing into the side of our calf, as well as the side of the calf, pushing into our foot. Check yourself here. How do the hips feel? How does that left leg feel? Give those muscles a squeeze. Now, if you would like, you can try the progression of bringing the foot above the knee. Woohoo. This is my more challenging side because my right leg, which we're doing the left side, is a bit weaker. And the hip is tighter. Woo. Leg into the foot as well as foot into the leg. Now challenging our balance, we're going to extend the left arm up and the right arm out. Good. Tailbone under. Now arms to T. And then heart center. As we release the arms, releasing the legs, shake it out. As we come back to the center of our mat. Find that mountain pose. Lift those toes, wiggle them, stretch them out. Inhale, lift. Draw the hands to heart center, sitting back into chair pose. Hinging at the hip joint, not rounding forward. So keeping our spine upright, not slouched. Weight is heavy in our heels. Good. Let's rotate, keeping the thumbs here. We're not going to bring the thumbs to our shoulder. Just point the elbows to the ground. And center. And rotate. And center. And lift out. Open up. Circle through. Back to heart center. Good. Finding our balance one more time as we bring our right foot up. Foot's flexed. Good. Now, hinging. Extend the leg behind us and touch the toe to the ground. Keep the hips squared. Try not to open up the hips. And then push through the floor. Lift the knee up. Good. Now extend the arms out to a T. Hinge, keep the hips squared, don't open them up. Touch the toe down, heavy in our heels. And lift. One more time with a little progression. To T. Reach, toes can touch, or hinge more to come to airplane. Lifting out, woohoo. And settling down. Shake out the legs. We'll do the same thing other side. Hands to heart center. Weight is in our heels. Tailbone under, sternum lifted. And bring up the heel. Flexing your foot, knees lifted. And now hinge. Extend the leg, touch the toe behind, but don't open up the hips. Keep the hips squared. And lift. Bring the arms out. Sit back into it a little bit. And then lift. And this time the progression. Feel free just to touch the toe down or hinge. I'm kind of cheating, the wall's right behind me and I can tap my toe to the wall. It's a great way to help check yourself. And lift it out. Woohoo. And lower. Good. Shake out those legs. Shake out those shoulders. One more time. Big inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Let's just allow ourselves to drape over our legs, hugging the thigh muscles to the bone, but shaking the head no. Now nod as if saying yes. Just shake out the arms. Let's bend our knees generously as we slowly round up. One vertebrae at a time. Good. As we face the end of our mat, coming into balancing, as we sink shoulders over hips, over heels, as we come down to the floor. Having a seat on our sit-up-ons, extending our arms for boat pose. Now let's hollow out our bellies. The sternum stays lifted. As we hollow out, we can sit back onto that flat spot of our tuchus, bracing within our core. Our low back is long. Sternums are lifted. Breathe. If this is enough of a sensation for you, wonderful. You can extend your legs. For me, immediately I start rounding. That's because I'm so tight. So I really think this is perfect for me. Give this a try. Breathe. Shoulders relax out of our ears, hollowing out through the belly. Sternum is lifted. Let's give support as we allow ourselves to come forward out of boat, giving ourselves a little bit of love for the low back. Good. Sitting up nice and tall one more time. Hollowing out through the belly. Feeling ourselves ease onto that flat spot of our gluteals. Sternum is lifted, belly is braced, our low back is long. We're not sinking into the low back. Keep it long and lifted and straight. Breathe. Now, bringing our hands towards the hip, circle over, and circle over. Kind of like we're paddling a boat. Belly's braced, sternum lifted, low back is long. Brace the belly harder than your back. 2 more paddles. 1 more paddle. And we're done. Again, draping ourselves over our legs, giving a little love to our low back. And let's uncurl ourselves onto the mat, 1 vertebrae at a time. And again, stepping our feet in comfortably close, separating the feet. Outside edges are parallel to the mat. As in like with the beginning, let's windshield wiper those knees side to side. This time, let's pause with the knees to one side. It don't matter what side you do. Just pause right here. Keep the ribs pulled down. And stretch within our hips. And if you want to change the sensation, you may lift up your foot and rest it on the knee, allowing gravity and the weight of that leg and that foot to pull the knee closer. But if it does this to you, where you're arcing and bringing your rib cage away from the floor, pull the ribs down. Maybe remove the foot. You can always take the block. If you like the stretch of that foot, but it's just a little much, take it. Prop it underneath the hip. You get a little bit of weight from the foot, but the leg is supported, so we're not flaring the ribs. Let the breath go to the tension. Wonderful stretch for the hips. Good. Let's release. We'll do the same thing, other side. Let's just flow back and forth, side to side. Good. And pausing here, and same thing. If we'd like to change the sensation, we may take the foot and draw the knee down. If that makes your ribs want to flare up, hold the ribs down. You can always take the block, prop it high up, so we still have that foot adding a little weight for the stretch, but we have that support, so we keep our ribs down. Let the breath go to the tension. And if we want, we feel good, we could sneak the block further out or totally remove it. Let's take the foot off, removing our block. Good. And drawing the knees towards our chest one last time. Cradle rocking side to side. Allowing the knees to fall away. And draw in and release. And releasing our feet to the floor. Go ahead and stretch out the legs. Feet comfortable distance from our body, arms comfortable distance. Feel free to lift the hips, realign the shoulders as we come to final relaxation. Bring in focus and awareness to our breath as we inhale fully and exhale fully. Allowing our breath to build within our core, bringing in heat, bringing in softness, allowing our facial muscles to soften, chest and stomach muscles relax. Let that softness radiate out through the arms and legs, our fingertips and our toes. Just take a moment and allow each breath to let you melt into the floor. Let's wiggle our fingertips and our toes. Good. Bring the soles of our feet together, hands together, gently rubbing to create some warmth and awareness to our extremities. Shielding our eyes with our hands, allowing our eyes to open, and easing our knees together. Excuse me. Rock and roll side to side. And then taking 3 to 5 rocks. Coming to seated. And joining me if you like. And easy seated. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was something different. And I look forward to having another class for you next week. Until then, have a great day.